We go into a Michael Richards story, and he decides, you know what, this might be good for B-roll pre-Sugar Ray Leonard interview. We'll get a story of Barry Katz.
Could be. So I tell them, I say, Michael invited me over to his house, and he lives in this beautiful house in the Palisades with this beautiful yard overlooking the ocean. He has a flagpole there.
Beautiful flagpole.
Beautiful flagpole.
It's great.
And he took me out to the spot right by the flagpole, and I stood next to him, and he said, Barry, this is where Jerry stood a week ago today. I said, really? What did you guys talk about? I said, Jerry, you see that guest house in back of me?
Wait, is this Larry Holmes or is this Michael Richards?
I'm doing my best, Michael Richards.
It's Michael Richards, right?
Yeah.
All right, it's growing on me. Go ahead.
Look, Jerry, I see the guest house back there on the second floor. I got it all set up. I'm going to be writing up there. I'm going to be looking out at the ocean, and I'm going to be writing. I'm going to write beautiful scripts and prolific stuff. And Jerry just sat there with his arms folded and said, no, you're not, Michael. No, you're not. Yeah, Jerry, I am. I'm going to be working up there. We're going to look out the ocean. No, you're not, Michael. You're never going to write up there. And so then they look at me like, literally like I literally committed a crime. And
so Uncle Dan's looking at you right now.
They were in shock. And I said, what's the matter? Why are you guys looking at me like that? They said, Barry, you're not going to believe this. We just told that story 5 minutes ago in the car to the cameras. So it was kind of a coincidence. It was weird. And then I see Nikki's head popping through, and she's going like, motioning like, what the fuck is going on?
From downstairs.
And I'm like, excuse me,
so
guys.
From my front door, you can see all the way out to the back. You can see the backyard if you play your cards right.
And she was, a little upset. And so I said, hang on, guys, I'll find out.
A little upset?
Because Jerry says,
She's up all night with a baby, and fucking Seinfeld's at the door. The one person not impressed with Jerry Seinfeld and Michael Richards is my wife. The one person whose reaction to Jerry Seinfeld and Michael Richards is, get them out of here now.
Well, she never...
The rest of the country's like, oh my God, you two guys.
Yeah. I mean, she never actually said that, but you could see it in her face, and I closed the door, and I said, Jerry said, can we see Jay? And I said, well, let me hang on, and I closed the door. I closed the door on Jerry and Michael, and I go, and you come down, and...
freshly showered, honey Mori cologne, I smell
like,
good.
What the fuck is going on? I'm like, Jerry and Michael Richards are here, they want to say hello to you. What should I tell them? You said...
No.
No.
Yeah.
And so I went back out.
Thanks for teeing me up for that dramatic moment.
Well, I didn't...
Survey says...
No,
I'm just breaking
chumps. And so I went back out, and they were walking back. They were like, "Sorry, we bothered you," and they went into the car. Michael Richards picked up one of your trash cans and threw it in the back of this Volkswagen bus.
What? I don't know this.
I don't know why.
It's because it was black.
Probably needed it to be up in that little cabin while he was writing, and he would just discard all the papers in it. He needed a new big trash can for all that prolific work he was going to...
They can't all be winners.
Whiners.
I like in your mind, he doesn't have a computer, he's got an old typewriter where he's going zing and taking paper out and crumpling it up.
He probably did.
He probably did his right.
And so, that was the weird thing, and we didn't...
So then they want to interview me.
They wanted to interview you,
There's a 6-time world champion down the street who's waiting for them to show up in a stupid bus.
Yeah, and so then...
but Oscar De La Hoya said you were a champ, too, because I saw it on the glove over there.
Yeah, Uncle Dan, behind you, Barry, is a boxing mitt signed by Oscar De La Hoya from Night of Champions that I did.
Yeah.
And it says 2J from one champ to another, Oscar De La Hoya. And Uncle Dan tries it on, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And my wife made these nice muffins. Angie's having a muffin. Corey, we're all having muffins.
It was fantastic.
And all of a sudden I just hear like, I look, this prick's punching the fucking furniture with Oscar De La Hoya. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, well, if it meant that much to you, you'd have it in like storage or something. It wouldn't be on a shelf in your garage, for crying out loud. I go, well, sorry.
Doesn't even look like an O, the way he signed it.
But for Oscar?
Have him sign it again, yeah.
I got a great Oscar De La Hoya Evening of Champions story after with this conclusion.
Yeah, so I come in, we figure it all out. They leave.
By the way, the best bouncer in Hollywood for anybody running a nightclub, if you want the single most effective bouncer, It's Teresa Cardenas. Because she told Jerry Seinfeld and Michael Richards to go, and a camera crew to go kick rocks.
And so then
you have to leave. No, I can't. No, mira.
And so then we saw a story that I forwarded you that he was doing some kind of a random interview show where he crashes celebrities' places and for Crackle.
Crackle?
It's an online kind of portal that has content like that people they pay people for.
Uncle Dan, do you find it weird? Somebody like Jerry Seinfeld, $400 million, I would guess he has, right? Estimate?
Much more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Liquid.
Much more than that.
Okay. Almost a billionaire, Jerry Seinfeld. Maybe a billionaire. And now he's doing like a fucking web thing on Crackle. Like, when
Crackle's the next thing. The next big thing.
When do you just go to the Hamptons and put your
Snap,
feet up?
crackle, and pop, as they say.
Well, the reason why people do that is because I believe it was the book, and you would know better than myself because you're more well-read, the 4-Day Work Week.
At least he says he is.
Where the guy said that if you sit in a room and you just, with no interruptions, you get a pad of paper, and you just write down what you want to do. When you start to cry, that's when you know what you love doing, and obviously he's doing it because he loves doing it.
Do you think Jerry Seinfeld wrote, one day I want to interview Sugar Ray Leonard and wept?
I'll tell you.
Maybe he did after he rang Sugar Ray's bell. I'll
tell you something. One of the
Did anybody ever ring Sugar Ray's bell? Did Hagler touch him up at all? Yeah, he touched him up a lot.
Hagler won that fight.
I agree. Opinion. But do you think he rung his bell? I don't think Ray ever had his... Oh, no.
He got knocked down in Worcester, Massachusetts by some guy, Howard.
Roberto Duran rung his bell.
Yeah.
The first time. Would you agree?
I don't know. I'm just going to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is that I can guarantee you something. Some of the happiest, most exciting, proudest, inspirational, and like the things that got you giddy were moments on Mohr Sports in your entire career. I can guarantee you.
Absolutely.
And
that's where I met Sugar Ray Leonard.
All right, time out. You got paid the least probably of any time of your life doing that show. The budget for that.
You're talking to a guy who was a guest star in Suburgatory.
Okay, you made less than you made on Suburgatory.
Right, it was a labor of love, but I was still very well compensated comparatively to the rest. Yes.
To put into perspective,
you're right. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay,
I realize
so that's why Jerry Seinfeld does it, because he enjoys it and he has fun doing it and he loves that kind of thing, and he's in control. He's writing, directing, and starring.
Maybe he's up in that room at Michael Richards' house and he just keeps writing over and over, how do I use this bus?
Maybe he was telling Michael Richards that he wasn't going to use it because Jerry wanted to use it.
Jerry wanted to use the guest house to write about.
But the weirdest...
for Spackle. But what is it called? Crackle?
Spackle. But the weirdest thing is...
No, Uncle Dan's right. Spackle.com.
Before I go home that night, the phone rings and my assistant says, Barry, it's Michael Richards on the phone.
Hey, Barry.
Now, I
didn't know Jay Mohr was a white guy.
Now, I haven't heard from this guy.
You sound like David Caruso.
in like 5 or 6 years. I don't even know how.
You just said you had him that morning.
Yeah, but I hadn't heard from him.
All right, well, don't say you spoke to him in the morning and then say I didn't talk to him in 5 years. It makes you look like a liar.
True. So he calls and he apologizes, which I thought was very classy. He said, I'm sorry, and I want you to apologize to Jay Mohr. I didn't mean to upset him or his family.
You didn't tell me this.
And I'm really, really sorry. I was saving him for the podcast.
Did he say he was going to bring the garbage can back, though?
That's a very fair point. Where's my freaking
I'm sorry. Well, what about the garbage can? No, I'm keeping that. Tough shit.
Where is the garbage? Why did he take my garbage can? We didn't spend enough time on that.
I have no
Why
idea.
am I talking like Jerry Seinfeld? Why'd you take his garbage can? You can learn a lot about a man by going through his trash, Jerry.
Maybe that was it.
He wants to learn about me? Bunch of dirty diapers and Perrier bottles. Have that at MR. So did he bring back the can?
I'm sure he did.
Why did he put it in the back of the Volkswagen thing?
I have no idea. I mean, he was just probably doing a sketch or something.
A sketch about trash cans?
Maybe.
I told the story to somebody, and they were like, you were getting pranked. Like, they're positive to this day. That same family member that we weren't talking about said they're positive that I was getting, like, punked. And I'm like, no, he actually has, like, an interview show on Spackle. And he goes, no, you were getting punked. And I'm like, And then Nick's dad goes, I think they were up to something. I think they were trying to prank you. I go, no, Dad, you got to understand. Like, these guys, they actually went to interview Sugar Ray Leonard. He goes, I wouldn't be so like, he really thought I was getting punked.
Wonder what happened over there.
Yeah, so did they wind up, have you seen the Sugar Ray Leonard interview? Is it rough cut footage?
No, I haven't seen anything at all. But I tell you, it was one of the most, fate is a very strange thing when you're just, within seconds, you're walking up to somebody's place and they're there at the same time. It was just something that was really bizarre.
And let's not forget how weird it is that they were certain that this home is where Sugar Ray Leonard lived. Where they're ringing the doorbell, like they're so comfortable that they think it's funny to ring the doorbell so much to wake me up upstairs. And they're arguing with Barry Katz going, no, this is where Sugar Ray Leonard lives.
I've had like a weird thing with Jerry Seinfeld ever since the beginning with Louis C.K.
Well, you had a great scene in the movie Comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, where you took Orny Adams to the fucking woodshed and cut him a new asshole.
Yeah, it was weird.
Side to side, though, not up and down.
Don't start talking about assholes again. Come on.
Yeah, that was a weird. That was a weird thing because when you're doing a documentary, for those of you doing a documentary, you have all the intentions of what you're going to do and the outline of how you're going to do it. And as Jerry would say, or the producers would say, it's like, a scene can happen that it's unexpected that can help put the turn in the movie. And I was fortunate enough that my scene, which was not fabricated at all, I just walked in and it was
at the comic strip, right?
No, it was in Montreal, at the dressing room in Montreal after Orny Adams had done, I believe, a set the previous night.
And I didn't see the movie, and I actually do forget what it was, but people loved you for it.
Yeah, because what was happening...
And I get along great with Orny, and I'm sure you do now, too.
Yeah, I mean, Orny Adams, there's certain guys that are, and you'll...
This is my son, Orny.
You'll hate me for saying this, but...
Orny.
There's certain guys who, if you just didn't know what they were like in person, like if you didn't have all the media surrounding people, or you didn't have interviews, or you didn't know what somebody was like, imagine what you would think of them as a comedian or an actor. For an example of that, let's say... If you'll oblige me, let's say you didn't know anything about Tom Arnold's personal life, all the things he's been through, married to Roseanne, whatever. You only judged him on what he did in his career. You'd probably judge him more favorably than you might had you not. Orny Adams is a guy who is a brilliant comedian, who has great, great jokes, but has always gotten his own way, and so you judge him for all the things that happened throughout his life and his career, and not on his stand-up. But if you actually were to watch his hour special, I think a lot of people would be blown away. But
in a good way?
In a good way,
okay.
but they don't acknowledge it because there's so many things that he has to clean up over the course of his career to get to the point where people will.
Doesn't act so great? Mistreats people? Doesn't act so great? Angry? What is it?
Well, I think if you watch the movie Comedian, you'll see the personality traits that he has that have gotten him in trouble.
Or maybe, in all fairness, or maybe had.
Maybe had, that's correct.
Okay, and what did you say in the movie Comedian that people were so excited about? Excited about because it was a big part of the movie, not they're rooting against Orny.
I think, and I'm paraphrasing, but we talked about his set, and he said he killed, and he said, you got any advice for me, or something like that, or I might have said, you want some advice, I'd be glad to give some to you. He said, sure, I'd love some advice. I said, listen, when you're doing comedy, just do your act, go on, do your act, and get out and let your act speak for yourself. Don't talk about how much you killed, how great you were, what your set was. Don't go up to other comedians and engage them in conversations about acting or their auditions. Just walk into the club, kill, get the fuck out. And he said, well, I don't understand why I should have to do that. I mean, I can talk, I can do whatever. I said, Stephen Wright, he does his set, he goes in, the material's great, he leaves, he doesn't say anything, everyone loves him. He says, well, what has he done? I said,
he really said that in the movie?
Yeah, I said he won an Academy Award. And he's like, for what?
No.
I said, for The Appointments of Dennis Jennings. It was a short film that he did that won him an Academy Award. And he said, and then there was some back and forth. And I left, and Orny Adams said, "What a cocksucker!" And
about you?
Yeah, and
you want me to talk to him?
and he said to his manager at the time,
"Tell him you're Dennis Farina."
And he said to his manager at the time, which was Jerry's manager, George Shapiro, "How could you let him talk to me like that?" And George said, "I wouldn't refute a single thing that he said." And at the time, to me, it was interesting because Jerry, nobody had said in the movie what they felt about this guy.
About Orny?
Yeah, that he was, arrogant.
Was he like a sacred cow or something?
Well, it's just no one in the movie, the documentary, didn't have that. So when that scene happened, it was just an indication to the audience, hey, we get it. This is the one guy that came out and said what we really feel.
Richards, right?
Yeah.
All right, it's growing on me. Go ahead.
Look, Jerry, I see the guest house back there on the second floor. I got it all set up. I'm going to be writing up there. I'm going to be looking out at the ocean, and I'm going to be writing. I'm going to write beautiful scripts and prolific stuff. And Jerry just sat there with his arms folded and said, "No, you're not, Michael. No, you're not." "Yeah, Jerry, I am. I'm going to be working up there. We're working the cameras." So it was kind of a coincidence. It was weird. And then I see Nikki's head popping through, and she's going motioning what the fuck is going on?
From downstairs.
And I'm like, "Excuse me, guys."
From my front door, you can see all the way out to the back. You can see the backyard if you play your cards right.
And she was, a little upset. And so I said, "Hang on, guys, I'll find out."
A little upset.
Because
you go into a Michael Richards story, and he decides, you know what, this might be good for B-roll pre-Sugar Ray Leonard interview. We'll get a story of Barry Katz.
Could be. So I tell them, I say, Michael invited me over to his house, and he lives in this beautiful house in the Palisades with this beautiful yard overlooking the ocean. He has a flagpole there.
Beautiful flagpole.
Beautiful flagpole.
It's great.
And he took me out to the spot right by the flagpole, and I stood next to him, and he said, "Barry, this is where Jerry stood a week ago today." I said, "Really? What did you guys talk about?" I said, "Jerry, you see that guest house in back of me?"
Wait, is this Larry Holmes or is this Michael Richards?
I'm doing my best, Michael Richards.
It's Michael
You're going to look out the ocean? No, you're not, Michael. You're never going to write up there. And so then they look at me literally like I literally committed a crime. And
so Uncle Dan's looking at you right now.
They were in shock. And I said, "What's the matter? Why are you guys looking at me like that?" They said, "Barry, you're not going to believe this. We just told that story 5 minutes ago in the car."